Good morning to you guys here. A happy Sunday, May 11th. A happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I hope you guys are all doing well. We've got a soggy start here to your Mother's Day here. We've got a lot of storms ongoing down in the deep south. We've got storms up in the high plains there. We've got two different areas of severe weather today that we are going to be targeting, really more in terms of Montana and Wyoming and up toward the northern high plains, but there will be a conditional tornado wind and hail threat back down here into the southeast. And right now, just a lot of heavy rain falling, and really that heavy rain is going to be the story down here in the southeast over the next 4 to 7 days, as we could actually see some pretty significant flooding back down here into the Carolinas, into Georgia, into the Florida Panhandle. And it's basically due to this upper level low that's just basically cut off, and it's sitting here and it's not moving. We've been mentioning this the last couple of days. This is going to bring kind of a day-to-day severe weather threat through today, through tomorrow, and into Tuesday before it's off the coast and gone. And then by then we get to Wednesday, Thursday, and into the middle of the week and end of next week here, and where we're going to be seeing a pretty active stretch for some severe weather going into the plains, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, going into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next weekend. So we're going to break all that down here for you guys. I'm going to try and make this video as quick as I can today. We don't have too much information quite yet still on next week. We're starting to get there to that point. I should say we have more information by the time we get to about Monday, Tuesday for next week's event. So we'll go ahead and break that down. If you are down here, like I said, into the deep south, just be mindful of those creeks, rivers, and streams, as like I said, flooding will be an issue. Currently, right now, we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings, any tornado warnings, any of that, just lots of rain. And, that's going to be the big story, like I said, for the next couple of days here. So just be mindful if you're out and about and you're driving. You can see up here in the Northwest Pacific and up here into the high plains, this upper level low is now moving in, where we will have a damaging wind and a hail threat later on this afternoon. Now, I'll go ahead and pull up here the Storm Prediction Center's outlook here for today. Level 2 slight risk back up here into portions of Great Falls, Billings, back down here into northwestern Wyoming and eastern Idaho. Slight risk or marginal risk outside of that there. And then we have a marginal risk back down here from basically eastern and northern Mississippi down through Alabama into portions of southern and central Georgia, the Florida Panhandle. Pretty much most of Florida is in a marginal risk for today. And then we've got South Carolina and far extreme North Carolina, including the Wilmington area. Now, the tornado risk for today is going to be more confined to the southeast. This is that same low we've been dealing with for the last couple of days. Conditional tornado risk each day. Just be mindful if you're in that green shaded area that there's a low tornado risk within a 25-mile radius of a given point, but it's not zero. Also, not a zero, but less than 2% tornado risk back up here in the high plains. So I wouldn't be shocked to see an isolated tornado at some point up there later on this afternoon. We do have a wind threat for both areas, 15% wind threat and 5% up in the plains, and then 5% down in the southeast here. Both areas cover a 50 to 60 mile an hour, 60 to 70 mile an hour wind threat. And then we've got a hail threat, 5% in all four regions there for a hail up to 1 to 2 inches in diameter. So not really looking at anything too crazy today. I'm going to watch that northern mode up there and see what that does. But later on, we'll have a full breakdown tonight when we do our nightly live stream around 9:30, 10 p.m. Central Time. We'll talk about everything that's going to be happening this week. And if there's any weather ongoing, we'll be covering it then. We get to tomorrow, and tomorrow right now still looks to be pretty low. I mentioned yesterday that there was a trend with some of the models that could have shown a little bit of a stronger tornado risk. That's really pretty much back down. We're going to see more of a damaging wind and a hail threat tomorrow. I wouldn't be shocked to see a level 2 slight risk introduced at some point in the future for this risk zone. We'll see if the Storm Prediction Center needs to do that or not. But currently, right now, we're just looking at a marginal risk that covers majority of Alabama, Georgia, back down here in a far extreme, like 3 or 4 counties there in southern Tennessee, back into western North Carolina here, south of the Asheville area, back down through pretty much all of portions of South Carolina and into Florida. So just be mindful on Monday, once again, if you're out and about. Isolated tornado risk there in the 2%, wind threat is at 5, and hail threat is 5. Conditional day for all three modes there. Really probably going to be looking at more of a wind and a hail threat, but our winds will be back to where there will be a low-level jet that could produce a couple of tornadoes. Now, we get to day 3, and we don't have anything. We got a general thunderstorm risk. I wouldn't be shocked once again to see a marginal risk introduced somewhere in that area on Tuesday. That cutoff low is still going to be in place. It'd probably be something along the East Coast before this system is out by Tuesday. And then after that, we don't have anything on day 4 as of right now for next week, but we do have a day 5, and that's the same risk zone that we talked about yesterday. That was originally for the day 6 outlook. It's now for day 5 because it's been bumped up a day. This is the risk zone that we have out for Thursday. We've got a level 2 risk out of 5 here for severe weather. This is going to be for pretty much the Ohio Valley, back down here into the Midwest here. We've got Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, portions of eastern Missouri, pretty much the whole state of Illinois, most of Indiana and northwestern Kentucky in the threat for all modes of severe weather. Now, I wouldn't be shocked to see this get expanded, see some changes with this. Thursday looks to be an all hazards day. There will be a little bit of a capping inversion in place, basically a temperature inversion aloft in the atmosphere that allows for storms to kind of not initiate. They have to break that initiation cap to be able to basically develop. So we'll have to watch this. I also wouldn't be surprised in future outlooks if we see an upgraded, enhanced risk down the road if confidence increases. But right now, this isn't looking like an outbreak. This is looking more of a damaging wind and a hail threat with a, tornado side to it. But as of right now, I wouldn't be panicking, any of that, saying you're cooked or any of that stuff. Like it's just, we're 5 days out. We're not quite there yet at that point. Once we get closer to the 48 to 72 hour range, we'll have more mesoscale details pop up. So we'll probably know more in terms of Tuesday night, and a Wednesday, what's going to happen with Thursday's event. Now, we don't have a day 4, as I mentioned. I wouldn't be shocked to see a slight risk or a marginal risk introduced on the day 4 outlook for the high plains there going into your Tuesday, or not your Tuesday, but your Wednesday. So we'll see what they do for that. And then I do think eventually at some point we will get a Friday, Saturday outlook. This is going to be the area that we're going to be watching for on Friday and Saturday. It's going to be anywhere from the Ohio Valley back down to the Missouri Boot Hill, maybe portions of the plains, and back up into the Mid-Atlantic on Friday and Saturday. So this will be the area to watch. Not set in stone right now with SPC, but just something that they've been, clearly taking note of in terms of their outlook forecasting. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. Another thing that I want to show you guys once again is this graph, the supercell composite graph. Kind of gives us an idea of what we could see with the severe weather trends going through next week. And like I said, this is where we're at right now. Not a lot of severe weather happening. We get to about the 13th to 14th of May. So really here in the next 3 to 4 days, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, you just see this move up. I mean, we're going to be seeing a pretty long stretch of proactive and prolonged severe weather really between now and the end of May. I don't see this really stopping until we probably get closer to the month of June. So, and even then, we don't even know what the models are doing with the month of June yet. So basically what I'm getting at is enjoy the next 2 to 3 days across the majority of the United States, unless you're in the southeast here, before we really start to see an uptrend in more significant severe weather. Like I said, those details will be confined as we get closer to the next couple of days here, but just wanted to get that out to you guys. Here's kind of an idea. Once again, this is this week's supercell composite graph. This updates twice a day, so when I post when I show these, take this with a grain of salt. Just kind of gives us a broad idea of where we could be seeing severe weather at. The Ohio Valley, the Midwest, the Tennessee Valley, the Plains, back down in the Deep South for this week through, the 11th and the 17th. And then we get closer to, next week's setup here. Or not next week, but the 18th through the 24th, and we could see even more severe weather across the same area. So basically what I'm getting at is it's going to be active. Like I said, the details, the confined details, the actual forecast will come out as we get closer to these events happening, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a broad overview of what we're going to be looking at of really the next 7 to 14 days. Here's our but here's our GFS model run for today. You've got a high pressure ridge still building here. If this pesky low wasn't in place, we would have a beautiful weekend, a beautiful Monday, a beautiful Tuesday before this next system comes in, but this pesky low is really keeping the cloud cover down here in the southeast, the plains, keeping storms on going into the southeast panhandles of Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, all of that. So, it sucks, but we're gonna get you guys through it here. It's gonna be a little bit of a stormy next couple of days. That low does continue to spin moving in here onto Monday. This is where I really want to watch still on Monday here for some back low level winds, potentially for maybe a elevated tornado risk going into Monday here. We'll just kind of see what SPC, like I said, does with their risk zones, but I wouldn't be shocked to see a 5% tornado risk issued somewhere along the coastline going into tomorrow's setup. That cutoff low continues to move, and then it's out of here by Tuesday and Wednesday morning, and then we start to see our next system, and the models are still all over the place with this going into Wednesday and Thursday here. The GFS is kind of a little bit more biased. It kind of keeps this progressive. It doesn't make this look a little bit better than what it could be. The European model doing a little bit better. We'll show that model run more in streams, but just kind of giving you guys an idea that there will be an active pattern here. You've got a subtropical jet stream that's attached to the southern portions of this troughing as well going into Thursday, and I really think Thursday night will be a pretty big night. I think a pretty significant damaging wind event. I think we're going to have 2 different modes. We can have a mode down here, depending on capping in Oklahoma, in Missouri, and Arkansas will limit overall convection there, but there will be more of an organized, I think, setup for some damaging winds and some hail back down into Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, getting into Kentucky and Indiana, going through the overnight hours and into Friday morning. And I do think going into Friday, we're going to see that continue. I think we'll see a re-intensification of some thunderstorms and some severe weather going across this kind of jet streak max here. Basically where we see our higher jet stream winds moving through Kentucky, moving through the mid-Atlantic, maybe as far as western Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania there going into Friday. And then that system kind of sits there, and then we get into Saturday. We've now got a northwesterly flowing event. This could allow for more damaging winds on Saturday across the Ohio Valley, across the southeast, maybe the mid-Atlantic there. And then we start to see our next system enter the picture here going into the following week of the 20th and beyond. And this is just where things get a little bit too uncertain. The models have been going back and forth with the idea of troughing. We know we're going to see troughing. We know we're going to continue to see severe weather. but where that happens at and where those details remain to be is uncertain. So just kind of giving you guys an idea of an overall picture here. Another thing we'll show here, just an idea of where the precip's going to be. Remember, these are model runs, so especially the global model runs, they're not going to handle these mesoscale details too well. You can see majority of where the rain showers and storms is going to be at through about Monday and Tuesday here, continuing to work off the coastline on Wednesday, and then we get that next system in here. The models are starting to show a little bit better of a shot here, and this is where I think Storm Prediction Center will do eventually an outlook here for the plains, Nebraska all the way up to Dakota here, maybe getting into Minnesota on Wednesday and Wednesday evening and Wednesday night. So we'll definitely be on standby to cover that day if that needs to be covered there on Wednesday. And then that surface low develops going into Thursday here, and we could see a cold front that's kind of basically extended from Minnesota back down here into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, which will give us the threat for a couple of strong to severe storms on Thursday. And then after that, like I said, Friday, Saturday, more of a westerly to easterly flow, damaging winds, tornadoes possible with that threat on Saturday and Sunday. We're really looking more damaging winds and hail. And then we get into the next week, and I think we could see a little bit more of an organized threat going into the 20th and beyond. Just still way too far out to really be determined on what's going to happen with that. Now, another thing I'll mention to you guys is going to be those rainfall totals. We talked about this at the beginning of the video here. This is the rainfall through Monday the 20th. And where do you see majority of that rainfall at? The Tennessee Valley, the Ozarks, and the Southeast here. We could see anywhere from, I think, 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. Maybe some higher elevated areas could see 8 or higher. Just be mindful of those creeks, rivers, and streams. Don't drive into flooded waters. Turn around. Don't drown, as always. And then I think as we go towards the third week of May here, we'll start to see more of an active progressive rain pattern going into the higher plains in the Midwest and portions of the West Pacific. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Get out there, enjoy that Mother's Day weekend here. We'll see you guys later on in the stream tonight. Remember, 9:30, 10 o'clock Central Time is kind of the time that I aim for to do my streams. It always varies. So we'll be back at it, and then we'll be back at it, giving you guys day updates and coverage starting tomorrow. Other than that, guys, be safe, be weather aware, and happy Mother's Day.